Have you ever tried to win someone over, only to feel like nothing you do is working? Even worse, it seems like the more you try, the more disinterested they become? That can be really frustrating, but let me tell you something you might have never heard before. The secret to attracting uninterested women isn't about impressing them or pushing harder. It's all about how you use small psychological tricks to create a natural and irresistible connection. And here's the most interesting part. The path to her heart starts the moment you stop trying to win her over in such an obvious way. Women are not attracted to the man who desperately chases after them, but to the one who knows how to act confidently and subtly. The good news is that this skill can be learned and practiced. It's not about being the best looking or the wealthiest. It's about understanding what truly attracts. The art of subtle seduction, the power of strategic disinterest, and the ability to create an emotional connection that resonates deeply. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to know how to spark curiosity and desire without making it seem like you're trying too hard. Think about it. There's a way to make her start thinking about you without you having to beg for her attention. It's almost like planting a seed that grows naturally in her mind, until, all of a sudden, she realizes she's interested in you in a way she can't quite explain. And here, I'm going to share with you the secrets to activate this process in a natural and effective way. This isn't about cheap manipulation or superficial tricks. What you're about to learn is the foundation for creating something genuine, something that goes far beyond just catching her attention. I'm going to show you how small adjustments to your posture, behavior, and mindset can change the way she perceives you. Are you ready to discover how to master the art of attracting disinterested women in a natural and lasting way? Let's dive into these psychological secrets. You see, what most men don't realize is that disinterest can be one of the most powerful tools when it comes to attracting women. It might sound a little counterintuitive, but it's when you step back emotionally that her desire for you begins to grow. Instead of desperately trying to get closer, you'll create a healthy tension. Picture this: you're having a conversation, but instead of constantly seeking her approval, you let her become curious. This absence of a need for validation creates something women tend to find irresistible, a mix of confidence and mystery. And when you pull this off naturally, without forcing it, she starts to notice that there's something deeper and more genuine about you. This concept isn't about pretending to be disinterested or manipulating her. It's about understanding the dynamics of attraction. When you position yourself as someone who has their own life, their own interests, and who doesn't need her validation to feel complete, she starts to see you in a different light. She'll want to find out what more there is to you, what else you have to offer. Think about how you're drawn to someone who, even without saying much, shows a certain control over their emotions and actions. That's exactly what happens when you apply the psychological trick of using disinterest to attract her. If you're constantly chasing after her, trying to please her, or getting attention with obvious actions, the effect is the opposite. The secret lies in creating a natural connection with her, without rushing. An example of this is when you invite her to do something, but you don't place all your expectations on the date. The key is to show that you don't need this date to feel good or happy. This creates a subtle form of seduction that, instead of pushing her away, sparks even greater desire. She begins to see that you're a man of value, someone who knows what he wants, without being clingy or overly eager. Now, of course, this doesn't mean you should distance yourself in a rude or insensitive way. The psychological trick here is to create enough space to spark curiosity, without being indifferent or so disinterested that it seems like you don't care at all. And this is exactly where subtle seduction comes into play. You don't need to be over the top or dramatic. True attraction arises when you find the balance between showing interest, but not being entirely available all the time. This balance will make her start to question her own perception of you and feel attracted to you, without even knowing why. With this, you're not manipulating her, but acting intelligently. She begins to wonder if she's really getting to know the real you. She starts connecting with your energy, not the role you're trying to play. That's why, the more you practice disinterest to attract her, the more you create a genuine connection and lasting attraction. Subtle seduction is, without a doubt, one of the most effective ways to attract a woman without coming off as forced or artificial. Unlike aggressive methods that try to control her emotions, subtle seduction is all about creating an environment where she feels safe and desired, but in a natural way. Imagine you're having a conversation with her, but instead of focusing on impressing her, you're simply sharing a genuine connection. That's real seduction. When you manage to spark her interest without being obvious or exaggerated, you create a sense of mystery that draws her in even more. The trick here is to understand that true seduction isn't about showing what you have to offer, but rather making her want to discover it for herself. This happens when you use your charm in subtle ways, through small gestures that indicate you're interested, but without rushing. It could be a glance that lasts a little longer than usual, or a light-hearted tease that makes her laugh in a spontaneous way. These little details are often more powerful than any grand display of affection. They create a natural connection with her, where she starts to wonder if you're truly interested. And that's exactly what feeds her desire. Subtle seduction is also about creating a safe space for her to express herself. This means listening to her attentively, without interrupting or trying to appear superior. When you actively listen to what she's saying, she'll notice that you're genuinely interested in her, not just in winning her attention. The secret to seduction is giving her the space she needs to open up, without making her feel pressured. When she feels like you value her words and her company, it creates a deep and genuine connection. However, it's important to remember that subtle seduction requires patience. It's not a fast process. It's a gradual buildup of trust and attraction. For instance, instead of trying to convince a woman to go out with you immediately, it might be better to suggest something more low-key, like a casual coffee, so she feels comfortable. This low-pressure approach makes her feel that the connection is natural, without the sensation of being manipulated or pressured. When you adopt this stance, she feels at ease, and that creates a space where desire can bloom. The big trick in subtle seduction is that it doesn't require complex psychological tricks, but just a real willingness to understand the other person. You're not trying to force anything. You're simply creating an environment where both of you feel comfortable exploring the mutual attraction, without rushing, and without external pressures. By doing this, you'll notice that the connection starts to deepen organically, and it's in this exchange of energy and emotions that you begin to see the fruits of subtle seduction. One of the most powerful psychological tricks you can use to attract a woman is understanding the role of apparent disinterest. It seems counterintuitive, right? But, in reality, the more you demonstrate that you're not desperate to have her, the more she becomes attracted. This doesn't mean acting rude or indifferent, but rather giving her the space she needs to recognize her own curiosity and desire. By giving the impression that your attention is valuable and not available to just anyone, you create a dynamic where she starts to question why you're not chasing after her like all the others. This psychological trick isn't about being insensitive, but about being strategic. Imagine you're having a conversation with her, and instead of constantly trying to impress her or filling every silence, you allow yourself to step back a bit. When you show some distance, without seeming truly disinterested, you create a space where she needs to take the initiative to seek your attention. This interest is a powerful tool when used in moderation because it sparks curiosity and makes her start wondering what you think of her, what you feel for her. When you adopt the stance of disinterest, without being rude or negatively distant, you end up establishing a very healthy balance in the attraction dynamic. The woman doesn't feel overwhelmed, but at the same time, she feels challenged to earn your attention. For example, instead of responding to her messages immediately, you might take some time to reply. Not because you don't want to talk to her, but to show that your life is full of other priorities and that you have the ability to let things flow naturally. This small dose of mystery will make her miss you and want to get closer. Another important aspect of disinterest for attracting her is that you start acting in a way that you're not always available. When she sees that you have other things going on in your life, that you're involved in your own projects and interests, it makes her see you in a new light. She starts to realize that you're an independent person with a rich life and lots of possibilities, which in turn attracts her even more. This sense of scarcity is often one of the biggest motivators of desire. Of course, this disinterest can't be overdone. You shouldn't ignore her completely, but rather, you should act in a way that conveys that you're someone with your own priorities, and if she wants to be part of them, she'll need to show that she's also willing to invest in the relationship. When you find this balance, you create an atmosphere of natural attraction, where the woman feels like she has to earn your attention, and not just wait for it to come easily. This interest, when used strategically, goes beyond just pulling away physically. It can also be implemented emotionally. By showing that you have your own world, your own interests, and that you're not constantly seeking approval, you create an aura of confidence and self-sufficiency that naturally attracts anyone, especially a woman who is looking for someone with something to offer beyond just your time and attention. When it comes to winning a woman over, many focus only on attracting her physical attention, but the real key to creating a lasting connection lies in the emotional. To create a strong and natural bond with her, you need to understand that attraction goes far beyond the physical and involves a genuine exchange of feelings and experiences. True seduction isn't just about making her feel desired. It's about making her feel that you're someone she can share her thoughts, feelings, and even vulnerabilities with. Imagine, for instance, that you share something personal with her, something that shows you're more human, more real side. This isn't about opening up too much, but creating an intimate moment where she feels comfortable doing the same. True connection is created when you build a safe space, where both of you feel comfortable showing yourselves without the fear of judgment. This emotional exchange is one of the biggest catalysts for desire because it creates a sense of belonging, where both feel like they're on the same team. However, building this connection cannot be forced. You can't just try to connect the dots all the time. True connection happens spontaneously, often when you least expect it. An example of this would be during a simple conversation, where you actively listen to what she says, ask genuine questions about what interests her, and share your own perspectives naturally. This type of exchange allows both of you to get to know each other on a deeper level, beyond the superficiality of daily interactions. True connection happens when you genuinely care about what she thinks and feels. And remember, the key to a natural connection with her is empathy. It's not just about listening, but showing that you understand what she's going through and that you genuinely care. When she sees that you care about her well-being, whether during good or bad moments, you strengthen this emotional bond even further. A simple gesture, like supporting her during a tough time or offering a sincere compliment about something she did, can make all the difference. It's in these small moments that the connection deepens, and desire becomes more than just physical. However, creating this emotional connection requires patience and understanding. It's not about rushing things or forcing a bond, but about letting things happen naturally. Often, a woman will only open up emotionally to you when she realizes that you're someone worthy of trust, someone who respects and values her as a person, not just as a conquest. And it's this mutual respect that will lay the foundation for something stronger, something lasting. This subtle and empathetic seduction approach makes all the difference in the attraction process, because by creating an emotionally safe and genuine environment, you give her the chance to connect with you in a deep and real way. Instead of being something superficial, attraction becomes a reflection of the mutual trust and understanding you've both built over time. When we talk about creating a natural connection with her, the secret lies in being authentic. It's not about following a script or using psychological tricks, but really connecting genuinely, allowing both of you to share experiences naturally. True connection is born when you're willing to listen, understand, and open up in a way that makes her feel like she's talking to someone who truly cares. This creates instant emotional intimacy because she begins to realize that she can be herself without fear of judgment. It's not about forcing yourself to be interesting, but allowing her to perceive how much you're interested in what she has to say. Often, in conversations, people try to be overly funny or impressive, but true connection occurs when you're willing to be vulnerable, to show yourself as you are, without trying to be something you're not. This creates a deeper exchange because she begins to realize that she's dealing with someone real, someone with whom she can share her own thoughts and feelings without fear. A practical example of how to create this natural connection is when she starts talking about her experiences or interests. Instead of just talking about yourself, you can show genuine empathy by asking questions that demonstrate you're interested in her emotions. If she mentions a challenge she's facing, instead of just giving advice, you might say something like, "I can imagine how difficult that must be. It must be really frustrating." This kind of emotional validation creates an instant bond because she feels you're connecting with her on a deeper level. Creating this natural connection also involves being present in the moment, without distractions. If you're more focused on your phone or what's going on around you than on what she's saying, it can convey a message of disinterest, even if that's not your intention. When you show that you're fully engaged in the conversation, that you're actively listening and responding empathetically, you're building a solid foundation of trust. And with that, you increase attraction without needing to force anything. The key to establishing this connection is truly listening and understanding. There's no point in trying to be someone you're not or impress her with exaggerated stories. Instead, seek to find what you have in common, what really makes her feel comfortable. It could be a shared passion, a similar life experience, or even something simple, like liking the same type of music or movie. By identifying these connections, you create a solid foundation of empathy and resonance, making the relationship flow more naturally. When we talk about natural connection with her, we're talking about something much deeper than just physical attraction. True connection is built when you're able to communicate authentically and create a relationship where both of you feel comfortable being who you really are. It's not about psychological tricks or artifices to attract women, but a genuine exchange of energy between two people. This type of connection goes beyond the superficial and creates lasting bonds. The key to creating a natural connection with her is to be yourself, without fear of showing your vulnerabilities and imperfections. Women are attracted to authenticity, to the ability to open up and share your experiences. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable without seeming desperate or needy, you begin to create a space of trust where she feels safe to show herself as well. This doesn't mean you need to expose too much, but to be transparent in a balanced way. Imagine you're talking to her about something that made her emotional. Instead of giving generic responses or trying to fix the problem, you listen with empathy, validating her feelings. This kind of behavior creates an instant emotional connection. It's not about making promises or grand statements, but being there, in the moment, listening and understanding. This type of emotional connection creates a bond that goes far beyond the physical. Moreover, true connection is built through small actions, like remembering important details she mentioned in previous conversations. This shows that you're paying attention to her, that you're genuinely interested in who she is as a person, and not just in what she can offer. These little gestures of attention make all the difference and create an atmosphere of affection and mutual respect. You show that you value her, not for her superficial traits, but for her essence. Finally, natural connection is not something that can be forced or rushed. It takes time and, often, it happens without you even realizing it. It's when both of you are in sync, sharing moments and experiences, that the bond begins to strengthen. And this connection, when true and genuine, ends up creating a deeper interest, one that goes beyond mere physical desire. By investing in this connection, you are building a solid foundation for something lasting. Subtle seduction is undoubtedly one of the most powerful ways to attract women and create a genuine emotional connection. But, contrary to what many believe, seduction doesn't mean being excessively aggressive or using manipulative psychological tricks. True seduction is almost invisible. It happens when you manage, without rushing, to generate a natural attraction that comes from your posture, behavior, and the way you communicate. One of the best ways to apply subtle seduction is by using disinterest to attract her. This may sound contradictory at first, but in reality, it's one of the most effective psychological tricks. By showing that you have your own life, with your own interests and occupations, you become more attractive in her eyes. The secret is not to be overly available. When you become a rare presence, she starts to value more the moments when you are around. However, subtle seduction also requires knowing when to act and when to step back. This means, for example, that you should be able to flirt without overdoing it. A funny joke, a prolonged look, or a light tease might be enough to convey interest. The idea is to create a space where she feels curious and attracted, but never pressured to respond immediately. This kind of behavior increases the mystery and keeps the seduction game interesting. Furthermore, seducing subtly involves much more than words. The way you behave and present yourself in your surroundings makes all the difference. Being confident, but not arrogant, kind without being submissive, and, most importantly, attentive and affectionate are behaviors that build a naturally seductive aura. When you manage to be charming without forcing it, the woman feels attracted to your presence organically. Finally, remember that subtle seduction is also about respecting her boundaries. Don't try to go beyond what she's willing to share or open up about. Mutual trust is the cornerstone for seduction to succeed. When she realizes that you respect her space and are not trying to pressure her into a relationship or deeper involvement, she feels safer and, consequently, more willing to engage in a genuine way. And have you thought about having any woman you want just by texting? There's a secret that all women keep to themselves. A mental trigger that activates in their minds when you send specific messages. I teach all of this in an ebook, and I'll leave it as a gift in the first pinned comment of this video. It's not free because I work hard to create it, but it's almost free, as the price is absurdly low, cheaper than a snack. Go ahead and grab your gift. Now that you have in your hands the psychological tricks to naturally and effectively attract women, the big question is, will you put all of this into practice, or will you let the opportunity slip away? Just imagine how your interactions could change by applying these strategies with confidence. You're already starting to see women in a different way, more empathetically, more attentive to their emotional needs, and that could be the big difference for you to win her heart in a true and lasting way. But remember, the secret is not in a single action. It's in a mindset, in a way of being. Subtle seduction isn't about being perfect, but about being authentic, showing genuine interest, and knowing when to give space when needed. The real magic happens when you begin to act with more calm, confidence, and, above all, empathy. Now, I want to know from you, which psychological trick do you think will most change the way you relate to women? And more importantly, are you ready to apply these principles and transform your love life? Don't put it off. Start putting these techniques into practice and watch the difference. Oh, and if you like what you learned here, Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications to keep learning about female psychology and the secrets of natural seduction. And have you ever imagined becoming irresistible just by using psychology to your advantage? There's a way to put this into practice very simply, but that's a subject for another video. The good news is that I've already recorded it. It's here on your screen. Click there, and I'll see you there.